to the Hormonize Podcast.
The podcast in which we talk about how to live in harmony with your hormones.
Exactly.
Okay, we're here, the four of us. We are a group of students of Bindesheim. We're studying global project and change management. And for this semester, we are in our value creators, so trying to add values somewhere in society in a topic of our choice.
And the topic of our choice was women's hormonal health, women's reproductive health. And we wanted to, add value to their reproductive health in the form of a podcast.
And I think the reason that we started this is because we mainly wanted to create a safe space where we can talk with many women about their experiences, their struggles, what they're experiencing on a daily basis, how to live in harmony with your cycle. These are all important topics that we want to ask ourselves and be able to talk about with other girls.
All right, now we're going to introduce ourselves just briefly. So I'm Margot Le Breton. I am 23 and I'm Italian. I'm Sicilian. And yes, that's it. Then we have Sophie in the backstage.
Our backstage queen.
Yes, Sophie Dortu. She is 21. So she's young. And yes, she's helping us with everything else. Then we have
Limor. I'm Limor Gwetza. I'm Dutch and Israeli, 21 as well. And next to studying the global project and change management, what we're doing, I have a big interest in this whole topic, and I study now also orthomolecular therapy to become, something in the health department and help women with their cycle a bit more. So
this is a great way to start.
Yeah.
It is. Well, my name is Amber. I'm a fully Dutchie. Hello, I'm 20 years old. And yeah, we all do the same study. I had to think about because I actually thought I was 21 for a second, but that's not true. And we all do the same study. That's how we met. We also have previous history with each other before this because we're in our last year.
We're very friends.
I think we can say that we're no, but for example, Limor and I, we lived together. Sophie and I, we went to Chile together. I mean, you've been hanging out all together.
Yes, we have. Yes. So apart from a nice focused group, we're also a nice group of friends. All right.
So before we started, we would like to just tell you a little bit about our personal experiences, because besides telling you and explaining how everything works, we also, as we said, wanted to create a safe space. And there we want to introduce why we started this topic, because of course we have experiences ourselves. We would like to share that. So Margot, would you like to tell us a little bit about
my personal experience?
Yes, your cycle.
Sure. So basically, I have a really boring experience, very normal, I would say. So my mom is actually was diagnosed with endometriosis, and obviously I could get it. So my gynecologist told me when I was 17, because I was also sexually active. She told me that she suggested me to go on the pill so that I could avoid endometriosis and I could be safe. So I've been on the pill since I was 17. Now I'm 23. I took a break in the middle, and it wasn't really...
At what age?
I was, during COVID, 20. I was 20 years old when I took a break. I took it for 5 months.
How did that go for you?
It went really bad.
Oh.
Yes, because my hair would get really oily. After 20 minutes, I would wash it. I would get pimples. Yeah, it wasn't a great experience. So I decided to go back on it immediately after 5 months. Yeah.
Immediately after you started, all those symptoms were gone?
Gone immediately after I took the pill again. Yes.
That's kind of crazy, actually.
What about you, Amber?
Yeah, so I started the pill when I was 14, which is so young that I realize now. Yeah. I didn't really think about it. When I wanted to start, it was, I had boyfriends. I needed to get on a pill. And then my mom did warn me about, it's going to be a hormonal cocktail that you're going to take. But at that time, I I didn't know I didn't know about the effect of hormones. I didn't really care about it either.
I think that's also a big thing. Like, you don't care at that age.
Yeah,
like,
you don't even know what it is.
Because you don't realize the impact that it's having. And honestly, like up until a year ago, I didn't realize the impact that it was having. And I've been on the pill. I'm still on the pill, but I took a break when I went to Madrid. And I've never really experienced any symptoms on the pill. But then again, now that I realize, I'm like, I'm not sure that I don't have any symptoms because I took it so young. I might just don't even realize that there are symptoms.
Absolutely.
That's a big thing. Probably like when you get off at one point, you'll notice a change within yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Because when I got off the pill, it was crazy. Like, I had mood swings like every 5 to 10 minutes. I'm not even kidding. Maybe it was also like a combination of everything because I just moved to a new country.
True.
But I could literally be
maybe
like,
it wasn't the most like relaxing time for you to do something
but
like
still,
that.
like I had the most crazy mood swings. Like every 5 minutes, I could feel like my life was falling apart, feel so insecure. And then the next 5 minutes, I could feel like I was on top of the world. It was crazy to see.
And was your cycle like immediately synchronized and like normal, or was it really?
Yeah, for me
irregular?
it was. For you?
My cycle, I don't remember having the problem. Also, of my cycle was that it was lasting 9-10 days, so I always had a big cycle.
Your period.
Yeah, my period. Was really long. So it got back to that, and a really heavy cycle I always had. So,
but it's probably is what I get. Like maybe that you're scared to get off the pill now again because it's probably something in your body that will always come back when you're going to quit the pill because it's not fixed with the pill.
Right.
Like it's just to cover up what is going on. So when you quit, you first need to fix that and you need to go through it again.
I also gained weight, by the way. I'm just remembering. I also gained weight.
Yeah. But it also, like, if you get off the pill, like I got off the pill for like 5 to 6 months, but like actually after 6 months, your body will be back to normal. So it needs like 6 months to recover.
De-pill kind of.
Like de-stress from everything.
Detox,
And it's kind of funny because like even though we know it's so bad, well, it can also have good symptoms, of course. But for me, like I know it's not the greatest thing. Maybe for anyone else also not. But even though with all this information, we still take it. Because there's just, right now for me, there's not a good other alternative.
Yeah.
So we are having these meetings like, oh, the pill, it's so bad. And then I can be like, oh, I forgot, don't mind me. I need to take actually, I now realize I still have to take the pill. Oh, well. So this is what always happens in like the meetings. Like we know how bad it is, but we still don't have like any idea how to not use it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I can tell you also.
I mean, you went to a journey.
Yeah. So for me, I was 15 when I started the pill, and it was so easy. Like my mom and I, we just went to the general practitioner, and I just put up the story that I wanted to like have a more regular, like have some control over my cycle, and that was it. I never had any issues that I can remember. Yeah. And that's the only reason I thought it wasn't even the reason I wanted to become sexually active. So it was just, and the next day you had the pill, and for the next 4 years it was just easy like that. I have to say I also didn't really notice any changes, but maybe it was also because of, puberty. You're going to get changes anyway.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
I just thought it was puberty, like my recklessness. I don't know if it's the pill. And then after 4 years, I really got into like the health and the well-being. And at one point I realized and read all the information about like how bad the pill is for you. And that it's not good. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to try it and get off. I had a long-term boyfriend at that point. So let's just try it. And then in those first few months, I did notice myself like getting nicer, getting sweeter. Because
more feminine?
Yeah, I think so. I wanted to become more feminine, but also I was just a general nicer person. Like before that, I used to think of myself like also a nice person, I guess, but I could also be a bitch, like not nice at all. Yeah. And at that point in those few months after, it was getting like I felt I became more womanly, more sweeter, and I actually really like that. And I think it's because of like having more balanced hormones, getting off the pill like that.
Of course.
But how did you, like in what way did you notice you became more feminine or sweet?
I think like, first of all, like, I think just the way I reacted to things. I was softer with how I reacted to things. And now, because it's actually funny, in those first few months, my cycle was also very regular. It was all good. And I was like immediately, that's easy going off the pill. I don't need to detoxify at all. Everything was really good. But I didn't really have any insight in my cycle. I just thought, everything's good. Everything's fine. And half a year later, I started like measuring my cycle with my temperature. We'll go into that a bit more later.
Yes.
So now I have a really good insight in how my cycle is. And the last few months or half year, also because of traveling.
Yeah.
It's chaos. Like, it's really chaotic. And I notice myself not being as nicer anymore as I used to be in those few months. Like, I feel myself being very fiery in my reactions sometimes, or like you've noticed. Like, in ways, like Margot, she's really good at saying things very nicely. And I'm like, how do you do that? And before, I used to be like that as well. And now it's, and I think it has to do with like those hormones also not being balanced anymore.
Yeah.
That I need to fix that again.
So after having shared our experiences, we want to obviously also give some information, some scientific information about how the cycle actually works.
Yeah.
So
how
it's good to mention that a cycle with your period, like, it's not normal to experience crazy pains, to be extremely sick, to have extreme PMS symptoms. Like, you should be able to feel a little bit happening, of course, because you're on your period, but it's not supposed to be a painful, difficult week.
And same for like the weeks leading up to it.
Yeah.
Like the last phase before you get your period. It's like the PMS. And we always joke about like, I'm PMSing and everything's so bad. It's the worst thing ever. But it shouldn't have to be the worst thing ever.
No.
Yeah, you're going to want to be inside a bit more. But it's not that it should have that much pain at all. But yeah, maybe we can like explain how the cycle even works. Like, what is the process that is happening in your body, which hormones play a role.
Right.
So we can give you a quick story to begin with, so you can grasp like the understanding of it, and then afterwards we will go into it a bit more scientifically to also give you the reasons why. So your menstruation is the first day of your cycle. This is day 1. This is also called the winter period, because in here, like, all your hormones dropped. Everything's gone. Like, you're inside.
Everything dies.
You're cold.
It's
just winter.
Like, your body is busy with the menstruation, so everything's focused on that.
Maybe
so
we can say, like, there are 2 major hormones that play a role throughout your cycle. There are many, many more, but we'll try to keep it simple with these 2 major ones for now.
Right.
Those are estrogen and progesterone. And during your menstruation, or like when it starts, those 2 hormones both drop. And because of that,
they're at their lowest.
Yeah. And because of it dropping, you get your period.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the first phase. And usually, like, a menstruation is 1 to 7 days. But of course, it's like very individual. Like, it's
Personal.
There's not a normal way to put it.
Absolutely.
But then the follicular phase starts from day 6 to about day 14, let's say. And this is where the hormones start to go up a little bit more. Like, you're getting into like the ovulation phase. It's also called spring, because here, like, slowly the leaves are starting to blossom. Everything becomes a little bit greener.
Happier. Like, it's like, in general, like, when spring comes and winter is over, you're like, everything's so much nicer now, and I wanna go outside. I wanna have some more sun and be a bit more social, you know. And
exactly.
A flower blossoming.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then this time, it's also that is because the estrogen then is dominant. Like, it shoots up. You get maybe more estrogen. The progesterone is still on the low.
Down.
Still on the lookout.
Yes. And then you get into the ovulation phase from day 15 till about day 19. This is where the ovulation will happen, so you can be fertile. The ovulation itself only lasts 16 to 32 hours. And this is called summer because here you're at your peak. You're feeling good. The weather is nice. You want to go outside. You want to go to the beach. This is exactly what summer feels like. Like now it's winter and you're already looking forward to summer because you like to do things. That's basically also how it goes for your cycle.
And it's when your hormones are all high, right?
Yeah. Well, the progesterone still no.
Okay.
Like it is not at its highest yet.
No.
But the estrogen, it peaks. Like at that point, and you're like, I'm ready, for summer. I want to go outside and I want to have drinks and I want to be social. Also during this time you want to look out for a partner,
Yes.
Your lady parts start to blossom up. You feel as if you feel hot. You want to put on your makeup, go out. You're fertile. You want
fertile, ladies.
To go for it.
Look for a partner.
Yeah, that's actually also fun. Like the men that are around you, or when you're looking for a man during your ovulatory phase, they actually are hotter. You're kind of like your bar is set lower because your body wants to have a baby, and they're like, put a baby in me now.
Yes,
it's true.
Yeah, it is
so
true.
Your body wants to do that, and so men look hotter as well. Like you are easier to get than later. Yeah.
And lastly, there is the luteal phase, which is the day 20th, let's say, till day 28.
It's like the week before
it's
your
around
period.
2 weeks. Like a healthy luteal phase would be from around 12 days. That's also because if you are fertilized and you do get a baby, it needs to have like a 12-day luteal phase to actually have a nice environment to grow and really be pregnant.
Right. And we consider this the fall phase, because obviously your hormones are going down, and like if you're not pregnant, of course, if you impregnated, I was gonna say, if you're not pregnant, then your hormones will drop, and again, and so autumn, fall, so all the leaves fall down. You can remember it that way, and then again to menstruation.
That's when it starts again.
Your body is angry. You didn't get a baby. So everything drops again.
And I'm also wondering, because you said a little bit about the hormones, can you tell us a little bit more about that from not per se from day one, but can you take us
what
to
happens
the journey?
With
Yes,
this
please.
more specific hormones? Let's give it a try. At the start of your period, your estrogen and the progesterone, they both drop. And because they both drop, the lining of your uterus, it's called the endometrium, it sheds. And that is why you start bleeding.
Right.
So then you have your period. Throughout then your first phase of the cycle, your follicular phase, your body is preparing for ovulation. So they want to create a cozy space. They are trying to get ready to release an egg. And that's also the period in which your estrogen is predominant. It's high. You are feeling great. You are feeling good. You start to plumb up, as we talked about. Also during that period, around day 9 and 10, your testosterone rises, and testosterone is actually why your libido is increasing so much as well. So you're trying to look out for a partner. It's an increase there because of the testosterone. It spikes as well. So it's not that only men have testosterone, and that is important for them. It's also for women.
Yeah, and it's actually so smart when you think about it, because this is leading up to the ovulation phase. So this is where your body notices like, oh, I need to seek out a partner, and testosterone is helping with that.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It's so amazing to see like that your body is so set on making, like on reproducing.
Yeah.
And that is such a big health indicator if you're able to
of course
ovulate.
At that point, after that, you get your ovulation. So estrogen spikes, and you ovulate. After ovulation, your body is preparing for the implantation. So if you get pregnant or no. If you do get pregnant, your hormones stay high. This is like the progesterone is spiking in your second half of the cycle. And if you are pregnant, it stays high. If you're not pregnant, drops down again. Both the progesterone and the estrogen are both dropping.
And it's important to say that we stay fertile for 24 hours. So our egg lives 24 hours and the sperm lives from 3 to 5 days.
Yeah.
So that's your window of getting pregnant. That's why before we said you can get, like you're really fertile, that you can get pregnant 6 days, around 6 days of the month.
And that's that's actually so funny because when we're in high school and we're learning, I don't remember ever learning about like the window of being fertile. I thought every day of the month, even on the pill, you can get pregnant always.
Yeah, that's what I knew.
That's what I thought. So it was like shocking to hear and figure out that as a woman, like as a man, you're fertile, like fertile for all the days.
All the days, yeah.
And as a woman, it's only 3 to 6 days.
And that's
maybe
even
to
due
7.
to the sperm. Like only from a woman's body, you can
It's
only be
24
hours.
Yeah, and that's even if you're ovulating correctly. If the sperm, like most sperm doesn't even live up to, is not really good quality anymore. So no, really. But it's not really good quality anymore. So then it's, that's so weird that we didn't learn that. And we're actually fertile for so little days, and it's so easy actually to track. Yeah.
Even though we are only fertile for 24 hours, we do have a week window. You can say that you can get pregnant. But the thing is, you don't know when this is going to be exactly, especially for natural contraceptives. And you, Limor, you've experience with that. Would you like to explain?
Yes, of course. Because it's actually the women's body. It differs so much per month. Like even if you do track it, which I do, ovulation can differ. And from what I see in my cycle, I have like a late ovulation. So sometimes it can come earlier or can come later. So those things are really important to take into account when you don't use any contraceptives or like a natural contraceptive. What I use, it is called the DAISY, and it measures your basal body temperature. The basal body temperature is the first temperature of the day. So as soon as you wake up, in the first 2 minutes, you measure your temperature, and that is your basal body temperature. And by doing that every day, you can see which hormone is kind of predominant or what is going on in the body. So in the first half of the cycle, your body temperature generally stays low. That's how it should be, at least. Both hormones are dropped at your period, and then it stays kind of low. Then during ovulation, it drops and it spikes with the estrogen. So you have a drop and a spike, and then you can notice, okay, this is ovulation. After ovulation, because of the progesterone, your temperature stays high. And then if it stays high, because you're creating the warm environment with the progesterone for the baby. Yeah. If it stays high, you're probably pregnant, because then your hormones are staying higher as well.
As you just mentioned.
Yeah. And if it drops, then you know you're getting your period. So I can kind of always see when I'm getting my period, because I see from that day, if I wake up, it's like it's dropped, and then I see, I'll probably get my period today or tomorrow, because both my hormones have dropped. So that's really interesting to see. And every month it just kind of differs, and I'm just trying to get back on track with it, that it's really doing the process that it should follow, because a lot with me it's very chaotic all over the place. But from there you can also see by tracking this, because if you don't use any contraceptives, I would recommend like really tracking your cycle well, so that you can see when you're fertile and you can take measures for it. But you can also see, especially if you're not sexually active, that what is maybe wrong in your body, and what are things that you can do to help it.
But then you can also see the period in which you're ovulating. Yeah. So up until you are probably quite low in temperature, and then after ovulation, your temperature is higher. So you do need to track it for a few cycles, because it anticipates kind of into when you're ovulating. And I think that's the only risk with it. So if you have your regular cycle, but what is nice with the DAISY, what I use, is that it doesn't really take any risk. So because my cycle currently is so chaotic, I get a bit more red days. And if they're red, they're like, okay, be safe, Yeah. And if it's green days, and that's mostly after they know for sure that it's ovulation up until your period, you're not fertile, then you can go safely. Wow.
So it's really nice by seeing that, because then, and you're safe, but you also know at which points you need to be safer. Right. And probably when you're ovulating, you can kind of calculate things in. So yeah, that's really cool.
That's really nice.
Really interesting. I've never heard about this before.
No.
Really interesting.
And then maybe since we talked about which hormones are spiking and dropping, we can give a little bit more context about the hormones, what they mean, what like symptoms that they can cause if you have certain hormones at a certain time. So we can start with estrogen and progesterone because, as we mentioned, these are the most predominant one. Estrogen in the first half of your phase and progesterone in the second half. So about estrogen, this is often called the Beyonce because this is like your woman hormone, you know, like if you have the high spike of estrogen, your lady parts will plumb. You will get fuller lips, better curves and everything surrounding
you feel hotter as well. Like what I notice is
more confident.
Yeah, like I feel uglier when I'm getting my period and like the weeks until, and when I'm in my ovulation or up until there, I feel hotter as well. Like you really see it. Like I feel like your facial features kind of act to it as well. You really blossom.
Yes.
So that's because that's actually true. Because if you have a lot of estrogen, like your skin will look plump and it will look better.
Yeah.
But besides like the outside, like the look of it, natural estrogen keeps your brain working and keeps your heart in a good shape. And it's also one of the reasons that your bones are so strong.
Yeah.
So that's also really good to know.
Yeah, it is a lot of good effects.
Yeah,
for sure. And then of course it's not, you shouldn't have too much estrogen. There's always like
a
too
balance.
much and too little, but
of course.
That we'll go into more into the next episode.
Yeah, and then we also have the progesterone, which is from the second half. And this is also called the Bob Marley.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's more like chill. Like the Beyonce was like all out there, like look at me. And then the Bob Marley is more like,
chill back.
Not one is better than the other, but they both have their perks and like their things that you can do throughout that phase to really support it.
Yeah.
And this hormone predominates, as we said, from day 15 to 28, obviously is an average. It depends on the person. And too little of this hormone can cause infertility, anxiety, insomnia, crying, irregular cycle, and typically shorter cycle, of course.
I think a big issue like that women have that are on a natural cycle that you can see is that they have too little progesterone and too much estrogen. That's also because there are so many, well, we'll not go in depth about that now, but so many xenoestrogens like out there. You get a lot of toxifications from estrogens in your body, which makes your estrogen so high and your progesterone not in balance, so low.
Yeah.
And you get many issues from that. And because and that also has an effect on like your PMS. That's why so many women have such bad PMS symptoms.
Yeah.
Because their progesterone is so low or their estrogen is so high.
Yeah.
If in your second phase, your estrogen is, for many women, it's often still higher than their progesterone, whilst the progesterone needs to be higher than the estrogen in the second phase.
Yeah, and maybe if we put it like this, it can sound like estrogen, like it is a great hormone, like it's the Beyonce, but too little or too much of any of these hormones will cause problems.
Symptoms.
So even if the progesterone, you're like, oh, it's Bob Marley, but if you have too much or too little, that would create problems inside your body.
And that's also like a weird thing. Like you've always learned estrogen is the female hormone, testosterone is the male hormone.
Yeah.
But actually we have both.
We have both.
We need both.
Estrogen.
And estrogen is not even the main hormone. Like progesterone
is our main.
It's like so important that you've never heard of.
Yeah.
And that's, I find that crazy.
Yeah.
It is.
And then another hormone that we briefly talked about was testosterone. This normally like peaks mid-cycle. So we said day 9 to 10, but it can also happen between week 2 and 3. And as we mentioned, like this is like related to men, but women need this hormone because without this hormone, your bones will get weak and your brain will slow down and your mood will tank and your motivation will decrease. Yeah. So actually for a woman, it's like such a important hormone.
It's also so, and you also see it with your ovulation when you have that spike in testosterone. Yeah. That is what increases also your confidence and energy. Like estrogen, kind of the same, I feel like, but also your testosterone is what does that. So also very important.
And then there are 2 other hormones that are maybe a little bit less like predominant or relevant, but they're still very important to our body. And the first one is cortisol, which is produced in the adrenal glands, and it is known as a stress hormone, which is true. However, this cortisol hormone is also a very great hormone for our body. Like it plays a big role in our immune health. So without like a good amount of cortisol, we will get sick. Our wounds will not heal as much. So this is actually a very positive and a good hormone that we often misconcept.
But I feel like it's kind of the same as with estrogen. You need it. It's very important, but you never should have too much. And I feel like just having cortisol is good for you. And really having stress, which we'll talk about more in a later episode as well, is bad. Like, I wouldn't say like really having chronic stress, that's really good, but having those acute moments of stress and acute moments of a spike in cortisol, that's what your body needs.
And that's like, it seems to, with cortisol, be so focused on, oh, you have too much, so it's bad for you. But that's with every hormone, as we just mentioned. Like, it's not just cortisol, and it's often like misplaced in society because it's related to stress. Right. But it's just the same as every hormone that there is.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and lastly, we have that we are going to mention hormone. It's oxytocin, which is known as the love or cuddle hormone. Obviously, also same for every hormone that we mention. It's good to have the balanced amount, of course. And this hormone, it facilitates the mother-baby bonding, the bonding with your partner. It reduces anxiety.
And there are so many hormones involved. Like now we've just briefly mentioned
the most
4 of them. Like, and I think or 5. And I think if you would like really try to remember something, it's the importance of the estrogen and the progesterone that is throughout the body. But there are so many hormones involved, and it's important to, try to balance things out.
Yeah. Right. And know that every hormone is as important as there is. There's not one hormone that's better. Like the oxytocin might now like come across like the best hormone that there is because it's cuddly, but every hormone can have its effects, like positive or negative.
They all play an important role in your body to get that balance.
All right, I guess this concludes kind of our first episode.
Things that we wanted to talk about
in regards to obviously the hormones and how the cycle works. We hope that it was easy enough or interactive enough so that all of you could remember this information at least a little bit.
Really understand like maybe now how the cycle works, that you have an idea of what is happening in your body if you have that natural cycle.
I mean, awareness is the first step that there is.
It is.
And of course, if you have any questions, if anything was unclear about what we were saying,
please let us know.
Let us know and contact us.
We have an Instagram account, Hormonize
the Podcast.
Yes.
And we also will post our sources that we used for this episode because we use like scientifically based sources. You can find that on our Instagram, but also feel free to DM us. We also have our personal Instagram. You can always reach out to us and we would love to talk to you about it.
And we'll also post some more tips and things that we talked about so you have more of an overview and an image with what we're saying.
Right.
Yeah. And then for the next episodes, because now we explained the basics, but the next episodes are going to be very exciting because we're going to explain how to actually implement this through nutrition or through sports. So that's what we're going to talk about in the next episodes.
The next episode specifically is going to be about the symptoms of hormonal imbalance so that maybe some of you that are experiencing these symptoms can relate and can spark, an interest on how to overcome them.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Like talk about how to overcome
I mean, just one last comment from my side. Personal thought is that for me, it's crazy how there is all this information. Like, that's how this cycle actually works. When I've never in 23 years of my life heard any of this information. I've had sex ed class, but all we learn about is that we have a vagina and there is a penis, and that's how it works.
And then you make a baby.
Now
to use a condom on a banana.
So I hope that you guys enjoy this as much as we do.
And I think it's so important what we're doing. Like, all the women that I know of, they're learning it now, kind of. But all through social media, and there is so much information out there from us as well. But it is really important, and it needs to get into the schools. It needs to get into, like, as a basic knowledge that you learn as a woman so you can make those informed decisions on what is best for you, and that you can, become healthy and feel good.
That's the ultimate goal that everyone knows about this. All right, then.
Thank you all so much for listening.
Yes.
We were so excited.
And see you next episode.
Bye.